The studio lights blazed down on the set of Piers Morgan's controversial talk show, where the air was thick with anticipation as Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, made her highly anticipated appearance. Dressed in a sharp, tailored suit that screamed confidence, she strode onto the stage with that signature poise she's known for, her smile masking the storm that was about to erupt. Piers, ever the provocateur, leaned back in his chair, his eyes gleaming with the thrill of confrontation. He wasted no time diving into the deep end, questioning her decisions since stepping back from royal duties, probing into her relationships with the royal family, and not shying away from the tabloid fodder that has followed her every move. Meghan responded with measured grace at first, defending her choices as necessary for her mental health and family's well-being, citing the relentless media scrutiny that had pushed her to the brink. But Piers pressed on, his voice rising as he accused her of playing the victim card, suggesting that her narrative was crafted for sympathy rather than truth. The audience murmured, sensing the tension building like a pressure cooker. Meghan's eyes flashed with irritation, her responses growing sharper, countering with examples of institutional racism and sexism she'd faced. Piers interrupted repeatedly, his British bluntness clashing against her American candor, turning the interview into a verbal sparring match. As the exchange heated up, Meghan challenged Piers on his own biases, referencing his past comments that had labeled her as manipulative and divisive. The host fired back, defending his right to free speech and calling her out for what he perceived as hypocrisy in her public persona versus private actions. The back and forth escalated, with Meghan accusing the media, including Piers, of fueling a toxic environment that endangered her life. Piers scoffed, rolling his eyes dramatically for the cameras, insisting that she was overreacting and that the public deserved transparency from someone who had once been part of the monarchy. The studio audience was divided, some cheering Piers's no-holds-barred style, others gasping at his audacity. Behind the scenes, producers watched nervously as the segment stretched beyond its allotted time, the energy in the room crackling with unspoken fury. Meghan's composure began to crack, her voice trembling slightly as she recounted personal anecdotes of harassment, but Piers dismissed them as exaggerated tales designed to garner pity. He brought up her Netflix series and book deals, implying they were cash grabs exploiting her royal connections. Meghan shot back, questioning his obsession with her, suggesting it bordered on unhealthy fixation. The host laughed it off, but the laughter was forced, his face reddening. Suddenly, Meghan stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor, declaring that she wouldn't sit there and be disrespected any longer. Piers looked stunned, urging her to stay and debate like adults, but she shook her head, her expression a mix of anger and resolve. Security personnel hovered nearby, ready to intervene if things got physical, though it remained verbal. As she walked off the set, the cameras followed her, capturing the dramatic exit that would soon go viral. Piers, left alone on stage, turned to the audience with a smirk, commenting that this proved his point about her inability to handle tough questions. The show cut to commercial, but the buzz had already begun online, with hashtags trending and opinions flying. In the green room, Meghan composed herself, phoning her team to discuss the fallout, knowing this would dominate headlines for days. Piers, meanwhile, reveled in the chaos, tweeting about the encounter minutes later, framing it as a win for journalism. The incident highlighted the ongoing feud between the two, rooted in years of public spats, from Piers's criticism of her Oprah interview to her subtle jabs at British media. Analysts later debated whether it was a setup for ratings or a genuine clash of egos. Whatever the case, it reignited discussions on celebrity accountability, media ethics, and the fine line between interview and interrogation. Fans of Meghan rallied around her, praising her for standing up to bullying, while Piers's supporters applauded his unfiltered approach. The video of the exchange spread like wildfire, amassing millions of views, with commentators dissecting every word and gesture. In the end, this forced departure became a symbol of Meghan's resilience, turning what could have been a PR disaster into a moment of empowerment for her narrative. Back on the set after the commercial break, Piers addressed the audience directly, his tone a mix of amusement and indignation, explaining that Meghan had chosen to leave rather than continue the conversation. He quipped that it was unfortunate but not surprising, Given her history of avoiding hard-hitting scrutiny, the crowd's reactions were mixed, with some booing her exit and others applauding her courage. Social media exploded in real time, with users divided into camps: Team Meghan versus Team Piers. Supporters of the Duchess flooded timelines with messages of solidarity, sharing stories of their own encounters with dismissive media figures, while Piers's fans mocked her as fragile and unable to debate. Clips of the heated moments circulated, showing Meghan's pointed accusations of misogyny in the press, and Piers countering with claims that she was using identity politics to deflect from valid criticisms. Experts weighed in on news channels, some calling it a masterclass in how not to conduct an interview, others defending Piers's right to challenge public figures. Meghan's PR team issued a statement shortly after, describing the experience as hostile and unproductive, emphasizing her commitment to mental health advocacy over sensationalism. Piers responded via his show and online, doubling down on his questions and suggesting she owed the public answers about her royal exit. The fallout extended to royal watchers, who speculated on how this might affect her relationship with the British public, already strained by previous controversies. Harry, her husband, was reportedly furious, sources close to the couple revealed, viewing it as another attack on his family. The incident drew parallels to past celebrity walkouts, like Tom Cruise's infamous sofa jumping or Kanye West's interruptions, but this felt more personal, laced with cultural and transatlantic tensions. Commentators noted the irony: Piers, a former tabloid editor, grilling someone who'd fled the very system he once thrived in. Meghan's advocates pointed to systemic issues, arguing that women of color in the spotlight faced disproportionate hostility. Piers dismissed such claims as excuses, insisting his critique was colorblind and focused on actions. The video script could delve deeper into backstage rumors, with insiders claiming producers tried to mediate but failed as tempers flared. Allegedly, Meghan had agreed to the interview hoping for a fair discussion on her humanitarian work, but it quickly derailed into rehashing old grievances. Piers, known for his bombastic style, saw it as an opportunity to boost ratings, which it did spectacularly. Viewership spiked, making it one of the show's most watched episodes. Online forums buzzed with memes, from edited clips of Meghan storming off to Piers's exaggerated reactions. Celebrities chimed in, some, like Oprah, subtly supported Meghan, while others stayed neutral. The exchange touched on broader themes, like the evolution of media from respectful dialogue to combative spectacle. In hindsight, it might have been inevitable, given their history. Piers had quit his previous job over disagreements about Meghan's credibility. This latest clash cemented their rivalry, with no signs of reconciliation. For the video, imagine dramatic reenactments interspersed with real footage, building suspense through slow-motion replays of key moments. Narrators could analyze body language, Meghan's crossed arms signaling defense, Piers's leaning forward indicating aggression. The script would highlight quotes, like Meghan's "I've had enough of this narrative" and Piers's "Come on, let's be honest." Ultimately, the event underscored the power dynamics in celebrity interviews, where one wrong word can lead to a walkout. As days passed, polls showed public opinion split, with younger demographics siding with Meghan and older ones with Piers. The story evolved into think pieces on feminism, journalism, and fame. For Meghan, it was a reminder of why she left the UK. For Piers, validation of his unapologetic persona. The video could end on a speculative note: will they ever face off again? Only time will tell. But for now, the internet has its latest obsession. Delving into the prelude of the explosive encounter, it's worth noting that invitations for Meghan to appear on Piers Morgan's show had been extended multiple times before, each declined until this fateful acceptance. Sources suggest she hoped to promote her latest projects, including a podcast on women's empowerment and a children's book series, but underestimated Piers's agenda. The host, infamous for his feuds with figures like Madonna and Hugh Grant, prepared meticulously, arming himself with quotes from her past interviews and royal insiders leaks. As the show began, the atmosphere was cordial, with light banter about California life versus London fog, but it soured when Piers pivoted to her strained ties with the Windsors. Meghan articulated her side, stressing the need for boundaries in toxic family dynamics, drawing from her own experiences. Piers interjected with skepticism, questioning the veracity of her claims about palace intrigues. The debate intensified over Archie's skin color comments, with Meghan reiterating the racism she'd encountered, and Piers demanding proof beyond anecdotes. Audience members shifted uncomfortably as voices rose, the exchange veering into accusations of betrayal, Piers claiming she betrayed the Queen, Meghan retorting that the institution betrayed her. Technical crews adjusted mix to capture the escalating volume, while live feeds showed viewer comments pouring in, a mix of shock and entertainment. Meghan's frustration peaked when Piers brought up her father, Thomas Markle, and his media dealings, calling it a family matter exploited for gain. She fired back, labeling Piers a hypocrite for profiting off royal gossip. The turning point came when Piers suggested her marriage to Harry was strategic, a comment that crossed into personal territory, prompting Meghan to declare the interview over. She removed her mic pack deliberately, her movements deliberate and composed despite the inner turmoil. Piers attempted to salvage the segment, inviting her back, but she waved him off, exiting stage left amid gasps. Post-show, the network faced backlash for allowing such a charged atmosphere, with calls for more moderated discussions. Meghan's supporters organized boycotts of Piers's advertisers, while his camp celebrated the raw authenticity. The incident sparked global conversations on interview ethics, with journalism schools using it as a case study. In the video script, incorporate expert opinions from media analysts who dissect the power imbalance, a former royal versus a seasoned broadcaster, highlight how social media amplified the drama, with TikTok recreations going viral. Piers's tweet storm post-event accused Meghan of censorship, while her Instagram stories hinted at self-care amid adversity. The ripple effects touched Harry and Meghan's Archie Foundation, with donations surging from sympathizers. Critics argued Piers's style borders on bullying, while defenders praised his fearlessness. For the narrative, weave in historical context, Piers's long-standing criticism since her engagement announcement, labeling her Princess Pinocchio. Meghan's responses evolved from silence to direct confrontation. This walkout might mark a shift, empowering celebrities to exit uncomfortable situations. The video could feature timelines of their feud, from Good Morning Britain resignation to this blow-up. Public figures like Serena Williams voiced support for Meghan, emphasizing solidarity among women. Conversely, some royals allegedly chuckled privately, seeing it as comeuppance. The story's longevity lies in its relatability. Everyone's had a heated argument they'd walk away from. As the dust settled, bookies placed odds on a rematch, fueling further speculation. In essence, this event encapsulated the clash between personal privacy and public curiosity, leaving both parties entrenched in their views. Examining the aftermath in greater detail, the media frenzy following Meghan's abrupt departure from Piers Morgan's show was unprecedented, with outlets from CNN to the Daily Mail dissecting every angle. Headlines screamed variations of Meghan storms off and Piers pushes too far, polarizing readers worldwide. Talk shows invited body language experts to analyze footage, Meghan's clenched jaw indicating suppressed rage, Piers's smug grin betraying satisfaction. Social platforms became battlegrounds, with #StandWithMeghan trending alongside #PiersWasRight. Influencers created reaction videos, some sympathizing with her mental health stance, others accusing her of dramatics. Piers appeared on rival programs to defend his tactics, claiming he was merely asking questions the public wanted answered. Meghan, in a rare public statement, described the experience as emblematic of the bullying she'd fled, vowing to choose platforms that foster positive dialogue. Her fans launched petitions for Piers's show cancellation, gathering thousands of signatures. Network executives reviewed the episode, debating if it crossed lines into harassment. Legal experts pondered defamation suits, though none materialized. The incident boosted both their profiles. Piers's book sales spiked, Meghan's podcast downloads soared. Royal commentators speculated on Buckingham Palace's reaction to silence, as usual, but whispers of relief that the spotlight shifted. Harry's memoir mentions similar media ordeals, adding fuel to the narrative. In the video, include montages of public reactions, from street interviews to celebrity tweets. Sharon Osbourne, a Piers ally, backed him, While Whoopi Goldberg on The View supported Meghan, the cultural divide was evident. Americans saw it as empowerment, Brits as petulance. Satirical shows like SNL parodied the exchange, with impersonators exaggerating gestures for laughs. The script could explore psychological impacts. Meghan reportedly sought therapy post-event, reinforcing her advocacy. Piers shrugged it off, hosting follow-ups with guests debating her exit. Viewer analytics showed a demographic split. Women favored Meghan, men leaned toward Piers. This gender gap sparked essays on sexism in media. Economically, the show gained sponsors drawn to controversy. For Meghan, it reaffirmed her decision to relocate away from UK tabloids. The video narrative might contrast with past walkouts, like Naomi Campbell's or Russell Brand's, noting unique royal elements. Conspiracy theories emerged. Was it staged? Insiders denied, insisting authenticity. Piers's history of clashes, from Trump interviews to vaccine debates, painted him as a provocateur. Meghan's resilience shone through subsequent appearances, focusing on philanthropy. The event's legacy, a cautionary tale for hosts and guests alike. As 2025 unfolded, references popped in pop culture, from songs to memes. Ultimately, it humanized both. Meghan as vulnerable yet strong, Piers as bold yet boundary-pushing. The script ends pondering if such spectacles advance discourse or merely entertain. To fully appreciate the build-up to this dramatic showdown, recall the years of simmering tension between Meghan Markle and Piers Morgan, dating back to her Suits days when they briefly connected over drinks, only for Piers to feel snubbed post-engagement. His columns turned venomous, accusing her of ghosting him and manipulating the narrative. Meghan largely ignored, but the Oprah bombshell interview in 2021 ignited Piers's fury, leading to his GMB walkout after defending the royals. Fast forward to 2025, with Meghan's empire expanding through Netflix deals and lifestyle brands. Piers invited her, promising a frank chat. She accepted, perhaps to reclaim her story. The show promo teased fireworks, drawing record pre-buzz. On air, initial pleasantries masked undercurrents. Piers complimented her looks. Meghan thanked politely. Then, the gloves came off over her Megxit motivations. She spoke of suicidal thoughts during pregnancy. Piers questioned exaggeration for effect. The audience audibly reacted, some empathetic, others skeptical. Meghan cited specific instances of leaked stories. Piers demanded names, escalating to shouts. Producers signaled time, but ignored her exit linea. This isn't journalism, it's judgment. Resonated online. Post-broadcast, fact-checkers verified claims. Yes, Piers had called her names. Yes, she'd faced threats. The video script could intersperse archival clips, building chronology. International coverage varied. U.S. outlets framed as triumph over bully, UK as diva moment. Polls in The Sun showed 60% backing Piers domestically. Meghan's archetypes podcast episodes subtly addressed, without naming. Piers's YouTube channel monetized recaps. The clash influenced media training. Celebrities now prep escape clauses. For royals, it highlighted ongoing PR wars. Harry's Spare sequel rumors swirled, potentially including this. In pop psychology, it exemplified narcissism versus empathy debates. The script delves into what-ifs. If she'd stayed, would reconciliation occur? Unlikely. Instead, it widened the rift. Fan art depicted Meghan as warrior princess, Piers as dragon. Merchandise followed, t-shirts with quotes. The event's virality broke records, surpassing previous scandals, as a video, used dramatic music swells during peaks. Conclude with broader implications. In an era of cancel culture, who wins? Both, through exposure. Yet, it questions if controversy equals content. Reflecting on the long-term ramifications of Meghan Markle's forced exit from Piers Morgan's show, it's clear this incident will be etched in entertainment history as a pivotal moment in the ongoing saga of royal media relations. Months later, documentaries revisited the clash, interviewing participants and observers. Piers maintained it was his job to probe. Meghan viewed it as ambush. Public sympathy shifted with new revelations. Leaked emails showed producers encouraging confrontation for ratings.